Welcome to City Music Stories. Here we visit a city somewhere on Earth and look at two musical artists associated with that city. Until requests come for repeating artists, I'm focusing on how the artists got their big break. That might be their first single or their first recorded work. This series is driven by comments, so leave a comment for future videos. Let's get ready to travel now. Today we are going to Atlanta, Georgia, USA. My YouTube friend, Lamb Jam Music, Robert, he suggested the city and both of the artists in this video. The two artists are going to be Atlanta Rhythm Section and the Black Crowes. If you have an idea for a city or an artist, please let me know in the comments. Let's get started by taking a look at Atlanta. Atlanta is the capital and most populous city of the U.S. state of Georgia, with a 2020 census population of 498,000 people. The city serves as the cultural and economic center of the Atlanta metropolitan area, home to more than 6 million people and the ninth largest metropolitan area in the United States. Atlanta is the seat of Fulton County, the most populous county in Georgia, situated among the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. Atlanta features unique topography that includes rolling hills and the most dense urban tree coverage in the United States. Here's a list of top-rated tourist attractions in Atlanta: the Georgia Aquarium, the Atlanta Botanical Garden, the Martin Luther King Historical Site, the Center for Civil and Human Rights, the Fox Theater, and St. Louis has one of those too, that's a popular name, the World of Coca-Cola, Piedmont Park, the Atlanta History Center, High Museum of Art, Center for Puppetry Arts, I remember that Rudolph movie, Oakland Cemetery, Fernbank Museum of Natural History, the Dancing Fountains at Centennial Olympic Park, the Michael C. Carlos Museum, and the Dinosaur Park. And a side note about Atlanta, if you're ever going to drive through it, add an extra hour or two just to get through. It is known for traffic. I want to take a moment and thank my patrons because their contributions each month really make these videos possible. Yeah, you might see ads on here, but the ads don't do as well as Patreon does. If you like supporting indie creators like me, please consider it. It's as little as $1 per month, and you can pay $3 and $5 for some extra perks and things. I've been sharing weekly videos of live music performances, and that is a lot of fun because live music is happening again outside the city where I live. I'm getting lots and lots of video, and it's going on Patreon. As I started to look up information about the Atlanta Rhythm Section, this was one of the first results, and it's on their website, and I thought this was just a great summary and introduction to the band. They are often described as a more radio-friendly version of Lynyrd Skynyrd or the Allman Brothers. The Atlanta Rhythm Section was one of many Southern rock bands to hit the upper reaches of the charts during the late 1970s. The Atlanta Rhythm Section is an American Southern rock band formed in 1971 by Rodney Justo, Barry Bailey, Paul Goddard, Dean Daughtry, Robert Nix, and James Cobb. The band's current lineup consists of Daughtry, Justo, along with the guitarist David Anderson and Steve Stone, bassist Justin Sinker, and drummer Roger Steffen. The band started as a group of session players at a recording studio. They worked so well together, they decided to form their own group. They were signed by Decca Records and released their first album, Atlanta Rhythm Section, in January of 1972. The record didn't do very well, and Justo quit the band, moved to New York City to work as a session singer. He was replaced by Ronnie Hammond. With Hammond on board, the band's second release, Back Up Against the Wall, also failed to sell, and Decca removed them from their roster. When starting out, Atlanta Rhythm Section did not have a single for their album. And if you look at the track listing, most people think of that very first song as their premiere song. So we're going to focus on that. Because there wasn't specifically a single from that album, it was hard for me to find something like a song review, and a lot of times it was more general information. Off the Atlanta Rhythm section's own website, we have the 10 songs that make up ARS's self-titled debut album were recorded at Studio One in Doraville, Georgia, and that's in the metro Atlanta area. Producer-songwriter Buddy Bowie, and I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, wrote 9 of the songs in partnership with others in the band. While the sound of the album may have become a little dated over time, what still comes through today are 2 traits that Atlanta Rhythm section was starting to refine and would prove to be their strong points over the years: great songwriting and excellent musicianship. From the opening, Love Me Just a Little, to the instrumental Ernestine, the acoustic version of Another Man's Woman, and the rock of Yours and Mine, ARS began laying a solid musical foundation for future albums. A summary of this song on their website has: ARS's first album starts out in a rocking 70s groove with a song that features some fine guitar soloing. One of the ratings for this album has it at 3.19 out of 5 from 70 ratings. In another review I found, essentially says the same thing as the other, mentions that fine guitar work. As we move on to our next artist, if you have an idea for an artist or a city, please let me know in the comments. The Black Crowes are an American rock band formed in Marietta, Georgia in 1984. Their discography includes 8 studio albums, 4 live albums, and several charting singles. The band was signed to Deaf American Recordings in 1989 by producer George Drakoulias and released their debut album, Shake Your Money Maker, the following year. Their follow-up, The Southern Harmony and Musical Companion, reached the top of the Billboard 200 in 1992. Several albums followed, each showing moderate popularity, but failing to capture the chart success of the band's first 2 albums. The first incarnation of the band, Mr. Crow's Garden, began in 1984 in Marietta, Georgia. They were influenced by contemporary local acts like R.E.M. and 1960s psychedelic pop and classic Southern rock. They gradually evolved into a revivalist band, dedicated to 1970s-era blues rock. Although the band has a high turnover rate throughout their history, the driving force behind the band has always been brothers Chris and Rich Robinson, who initially formed the band while attending Walton High School. The band played in New York City clubs such as Drums and CBGB in 1988. In 1989, they met George Drakoulias, who turned the band on to music that they had not heard before, like The Faces and Humble Pie. Under his influence, they began covering the Rolling Stones. It was at this point that the band also changed their name. They considered such ideas as the Heartless Crows and Stone Mountain Crows before settling on the Black Crowes. The Black Crowes released their first studio album, Shake Your Money Maker, in 1990, supported by the singles Hard to Handle, She Talks to Angels, Jealous Again, Twice as Hard, Sister Luck, and Seeing Things. The album received multi-platinum certification and eventually sold more than 5 million copies. The first single released for the album is the song Jealous Again, and here you see it gets a rating of 3.53 out of 5 stars. And here's a comment talking about what this song means. Nah, that's not it. He's reassuring his girl that he actually does care. He's just too proud to admit it. Dirty laundry is inactive. It just sits there. It's a metaphor for his lack of expression of his love, and it spreads. Because when he doesn't express his love, it's reciprocal. Being jealous shows that a person cares about what the other is doing and doesn't like competition. The second verse says, I'm always out of town on tour, always drunk on Sunday, their off day. I'm still nervous about what you're doing and misses her, feeling cold. The third verse says he's trying not to show he's concerned by playing it cool. Last verse, the best one in my opinion, shows his frustration. Don't you think I'd rather be at home? He wishes he could be with her always and wishes he could tell her that, but he thinks that that would make him weak. A wuss, always talking about how much he loves her. Awesome song for all those who have self-respect and pride. Thank you for watching along with me as I talked about these two artists. If you have an idea for an artist or a city, please let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time.